Good afternoon. Thank you all so much for being here, and welcome to our Musician Spotlight here at the Country Music Hall of Fame and Museum. My name is Julia Thomerson, Public Programs Coordinator here at the museum. I would like to give a warm welcome to any members that we have who have joined us today. Thank you so much for being here. If you are interested in learning more about all of the wonderful programs that we have here on a weekly basis and coming to visit us more regularly, we have some wonderful membership options that you should look into. Also, just a couple of quick housekeeping announcements before we get started. If you would all please take a moment to make sure that your cell phones are set to silent, and please turn off the flash on your cameras. Our musicians today have all of the accompaniment they need this afternoon. This program today will last around 1 hour. Feel free to come and go between songs if you need to do so. And our musicians are also open to taking questions. So if you think of any questions that you would like to ask, feel free to raise your hand and they will call on you during the program. I'd also like to mention that at the end of the program, our musicians today will be up at the top of the theater, up here on this side, selling CDs, and they'll be happy to meet with you, take pictures with you, sign your tickets, sell you a CD, so make sure to stop by and say hello to Curtis and the gang at the end of the program today. We are thrilled to welcome Curtis McPeake and Andy May here for our Musician Spotlight today. Five-string banjo legend Curtis McPeake is one of the architects of bluegrass music. As a native of Tennessee, Curtis grew up on a farm and discovered his passion for music when he was around 6 years old. He started playing the guitar in 1936. By the 1940s, he played steel guitar with the Rhodes Brothers and had a weekly radio broadcast in Jackson, Tennessee. He started the group Curtis McPeake and the Rocky Valley Boys, and made the switch to playing banjo full-time. The group played live on WDXL in Lexington, Tennessee, 6 days a week. Since then, he has built a career spanning over 70 years in the country music business, playing with some of the biggest names in bluegrass. In the early 1950s, Curtis appeared on TV in several Flat and Scruggs Grand Ole Opry Show episodes. In 1955, Earl Scruggs was seriously injured during an automobile accident, and Lester Flatt asked Curtis to fill in. Curtis continued to act as Scruggs' occasional fill-in until 1968. Curtis played with another Country Music Hall of Fame member and bluegrass legend, Bill Monroe, for several years. He joined Monroe at Carnegie Hall and recorded around 18 songs with him. Following his time with Monroe, he worked with Wilma Lee and Stoney Cooper. Curtis signed on with WSM in the 1960s as the staff banjo player at the Grand Ole Opry and continued to work as a studio session player. He toured with Danny Davis and the Nashville Brass and later the Natchez Express, formerly known as Natchez Grass. He's also a collector and appraiser of vintage acoustic instruments. Last year, Curtis released the album The Good Things Outweigh the Bad, along with his good friend, Andy May, who joins him here today. Andy started performing in his teens, influenced by the folk revival scene in New York City's Greenwich Village. By the age of 19, Andy May had already performed at Carnegie Hall and won a grand championship guitar contest. With stops in New England and later Colorado, he's called Nashville home since 1996. Over the course of his career, Andy has performed with artists like Nancy Griffith, Merle Haggard, John Hartford, Nickel Creek, John Prine, and Pete Seeger. He has appeared at Merle Fest and the Walnut Valley Festival in Winfield, Kansas, where he performed and conducted educational workshops. When he's not picking, he runs the Swift River music label, which won the 2008 IBMA Award for Recorded Event of the Year for the album Everett, Lily, Everybody and Their Brother. a project for which Andy has also played mandolin. Joining Andy and Curtis today, we have Aubrey Haynie, who has appeared on releases with Luke Combs, George Jones, Dolly Parton, Porter Wagner, and Trisha Yearwood, to name a few. And we also have Tim Dishman joining us, who has recorded with Dale and Bradley, Alan Jackson, Special Consensus, and Josh Williams. Please help me welcome Curtis McPeake, Andy May, Aubrey Haynie, and Tim Dishman.
Thank you, Julia. Thank you, folks, for being here today. Do a little bit of good things outweigh the bad. I've been sitting here thinking back over my life, all of the good things, the trouble and strife. Well, my share of heartaches, many I've had, but I still think the good things outweigh the bad. Well, I've rocked my baby at night when they've cried, and I've seen the teardrops turn into smiles. When I realize all the bad luck I've had, and I know all the good things outweigh the bad. Well, I never had riches, no money to spare, just a sharecropper's wages was my only fare. Yes, making my living, just working the land, but I still think the good things outweigh the bad. Well, I've rocked my baby at night when they've cried, and I've seen the teardrops turn into smiles, and that's when I realize all the bad luck I've had, and I know all the good things outweigh the bad. Yes, I've worked the cotton in the heat of the day, and then paid the landlord nearly all that I made. And I've seen high water take all that I had, but I still think the good things outweigh the bad. Well, I've rocked my baby at night when they've cried, and I've seen the teardrops turn into smiles, and that's when I realized all the bad luck I've had, and I know all the good things outweigh the bad. Well, we thank you so much. It's great to see you all here. That's the title song of the album that Curtis and I put out with Aubrey and Tim this last year. And two things of note. One is that song was written by a good friend of Curtis, Jake Lambert, and that's a true song. That's a true song, and it's great to be able to sing a song like that and have so much history behind it for me with Curtis's friendship with Jake. The other thing is, after we put that album out, Curtis received the IBMA Distinguished Achievement Award in Raleigh, North Carolina this last October, and well-deserved it was.
Someone dropped it and I picked it up.
Well, no, nobody dropped it. I was there. I carried that thing. I cradled that to my bosom all the way back home to Tennessee. Well, we're here to entertain you, but we're also here to answer questions if you have any. If you do, just let us know, and we'll do that right now. They're live streaming this, which is great because everything we're doing is going all around the world. Anybody have any questions for Curtis before we go on to another piece? Okay, I don't see any hands. Why don't we do a little bit of Steel Driving Man, Kurt? Do you have all the notes you need, Mr. Kurt? Well, Timmy and I are going to start this one off. Gonna be a steel driving man. Gonna be a steel driving man. John Henry was a little baby. You could put him in the palm of your hand. He lifted up a hammer and a little piece of steel, said, I'm gonna be a steel driving man. Gonna be a steel driving man. John Henry, I'm gonna bring that steam drill round. Gonna take that steam drill onto the road. Gonna whoop some steel on down. Gonna whoop some steel on down. Oh, John Henry, he told that captain, well, I am a Tennessee man. And before I let that steam drill beat me down, gonna die with a hammer in my hand. Gonna die with a hammer in my hand. John Henry, he hammered in the mountain till the hammer caught on fire. The very last words poor John Henry said, give me a cool drink of water before I die. Give me a cool drink of water before I die. Come on, Kurt. John Henry to the graveyard, and they buried him down beneath the sand. And every time a big train goes by, they say Johnny was a steel driving man. Johnny was a steel driving man. There we go. Thank you so much. You all having a good time? Yeah, well, we are too. We've been looking forward to this, and we want to thank the Country Music Hall of Fame and Julia, who you heard announce us, for all their help and support in getting this event together. There's a lot of stuff that goes on that nobody sees except for the people who work it. Anybody got any questions for these musicians up here, me or for Curtis? Oh, I got one. Come on. That's a great question, and we'll go across the stage. The question was, how often do we all play our instruments? Do we play them daily? Do we play them every now and then? Aubrey, I'm curious, how often do you play that fiddle of yours?
All the time.
All the time, lordy.
I never hardly let up.
Wow. Well, and you can hear it in his playing. My goodness, yes. Curtis, I'll let you answer this one. How often?
Well, I don't play a lot anymore. It's obvious that I've had to slow down. Oh, it's hard to play when you're 91.
Oh, that's right.
I keep going. People still after me, want me to play, and I don't play like I used to, but I'm playing good as I can when I get warmed up. Thank the good Lord, He's still letting me do this anyway.
Yes.
Appreciate you coming.
And I'm badgering Curtis. I'm one of those people who are clamoring to have him play as often as he'd like to. So I pester him a few times a week, and maybe we'll pick once or twice a week, right, Kurt? Pretty much. And it's always a joy, I've got to tell you. And we've been doing it for about 20 years or more now, Curtis. For myself, it depends on workload. Musicians who are freelancers like myself, self-employed fellas and gals, sometimes you play a lot if you got gigs coming up, and sometimes you got to do some of that office work, and sometimes you got to do some of that driving or flying between one place or another. I'll play as often as I can, and sometimes when I'm not playing enough, I use this word compelled. Sometimes I'm compelled to play, and I just have to stop what I'm doing, whatever it is, and grab my guitar or my mandolin and just play. So it's now and then, or sometimes all the time. How about you, Timmy?
I would say weekly, not every day, but definitely at least a couple times a week.
Well, there you go. So it's different for everybody. Well, we'll do another tune for you right now, and think about questions if you have any. Curtis and I started talking about this album a couple of years ago that he wanted to do, and just a variety of songs started coming up, things that Curtis wanted to do, and things that I was thinking about. Wouldn't it be fun to do? And from that big bowl of stuff came just an interesting mix of tunes on our new album. This is maybe one of the most interesting of all of them. It's a tune that I came on by Curtis's house one day, and he was playing this beautiful thing on the banjo. It was the old Willow Garden, old Appalachian tune, fabulous tune. And we started messing around with it. And then I started thinking, wouldn't it be great to have some different lyrics to it? So it's so archaic. And my wife helped me stumble upon the wonderful words to the Sally Gardens, which is a tune you'll hear in Ireland if you ever go on over there. It's a traditional Irish tune. So we mixed the two things together, and we came up with an arrangement that I never tire of hearing Curtis play. It's called the Sally Gardens. Down by the Sally Gardens, my love and I did meet. She passed the Sally Gardens with little snow white feet, and she bid me take love easy like the leaves grow on the tree. But I've been young and foolish with her, would not agree. down by the river, my love and I did stand. And upon my leaning shoulder, she placed her snow white hand. And she bade me take life easy, like the grass grows on the wind. But I was young and foolish, and now I'm full of tears. Down by the Sally Gardens, my love and I did meet. She crossed the Sally Gardens with little snow white feet. And she bade me take love easy, like the leaves grow on the tree. But I've been young and foolish with her, would not agree. Well, thank you so much. This is fun for us, especially Curtis and I. We've been saying for months, wouldn't it be great to have Aubrey and Tim come and join us on this show? And thank you to the Country Music Hall of Fame for allowing us to invite both of them. You know, it's just a joy. It's just a joy. Also, in the audience is my buddy Nathan Smith, who produced the last album that we did, and it sounds so good. And Nathan, thank you so much. You can stand if you want, man. Yeah, thanks, Nathan. Always most excellent work, Mainframe Recording Studio. Well, do you guys have any more questions for us? Come on. This is a man who's been there and done that, and come on. Do we have any advice for a group or an artist trying to break into the business? Well, across the stage, you probably have about 70 years of Nashville music business history. So, Curtis, in your day, what would have been the best way to break into the business? You did it. You made an incredible impression.
Well, it's a big gamble, I'll tell you that now. If you want to make a decent living, you got to work at it. And some people seem to get luckier than others. Some of it's, I hate to say this, some of it's politics, and that somebody that you know or maybe someone else knows who to come point you out to him, need a lot of favors, and be somebody when you're supposed to be at a date at 9 o'clock, you better show up. And if you're in a recording studio at 10 o'clock and you show up at 11, you get what I mean here. You've got to do what you do as good as you can do and hope that's good enough.
Aubrey, would you agree?
Yeah, I agree with Curtis. Yeah.
Tim?
Yeah. 100%.
Yeah, 100% for me too. I think that's great advice. I think it's timeless advice. All right. Well, good. Let's give you another tune. What do you think? Curtis, when we were talking about putting this album together, you suggested this piece, and I was so glad you did because I've loved singing it since I was a boy. And then you had this idea, Curtis had the idea of, well, when we do it, let's have Aubrey start this thing off with a just a heart-rendering fiddle solo on it, and then we'll take off from there. And I said, that's a great idea, Curtis. And so we'll give you a little taste of the sweet sunny South. These words are so old, but they're just so beautiful to sing. We hope you enjoy it. Take me back to the place where I first saw the light. To the sweet sunny south, take me home, where the mockingbird sang me to rest every night. Oh, why was I tempted to roam? Take me back to the place where the orange trees grow, to my plot in the evergreen shade, where the flowers from the river's green margin do glow, and spread their sweet scent through the glade. Of my birth, where the children have played around the door, where they gathered wild blossoms that grew round the path. They'll echo our footsteps no more. Take me back to the place where I first saw the light. To the sweet sunny south, take me home, where the mockingbird sang me to rest every night. Oh, why was I tempted to roam? All right. Thank you so much. Any more questions out there? They really give you the opportunity to ask these questions. So there's somebody right there who caught my attention. Way up there, nice and loud. Okay, where are we all from? Aubrey, where are you from?
Originally from Tampa, Florida, and moved here in 1991 to go on the road with a country singer named Aaron Tippin. I was 17, took night school to graduate high school early. My principal let me out and moved up. Mom and Dad moved me up to Hendersonville at 17 and went on the road with Aaron. And we live just north of town now. So, yeah.
Curtis, I know where you're from.
I'm from a major part of the, what would I start to say there? I'm from a town that's a little bigger, it's bigger than this room. But it's Scotts Hill, Tennessee. Good place to be from in several ways. No, that's Henderson County, West Tennessee. I'm just across the Tennessee River. And I moved to Nashville, and I first came here to do some sub work for Earl Scruggs, the Flat Scruggs Show. And that was in about 1955 or 6. I went back home then to Scotts Hill after all that few months' work I did for him. And I had the itch, I had to go. I just wanted to pick, you know. Of course, I'd never be a Earl Scruggs, but I'd do my own thing. Anyway, we left in 1957, moved here to Nashville. We've been here ever since. And I've enjoyed, I've been in some tight spots. I've been in some broke spots and all these kind of spots, but we made it. And appreciate it. Thank you.
Well, I'm from a little town called New York City. That's where I grew up, and quite fortunate for me, I grew up right in the middle of what was called the folk revival. So I was just surrounded by folks from all over the country who brought their music to New York to play and to just be part of that scene. So I got involved in old-timey music and bluegrass at a very early age. Left when I was about 19 or 20 and headed up to New England and basically hit the road as a country rock and bluegrass musician, mostly country rock. Then headed out to Colorado, where I started producing records and doing some educational work. And then in '96, I moved to Nashville because I had the opportunity to produce a lot of sessions and did a lot of sessions with my buddy Nathan Smith over there, commercial sessions, commercial country sessions, and met Curtis around the same time. So I've had an interesting and long journey, and I've lived here in the Nashville area outside of town since '96. So that's my story. Timmy, how about you?
I'm from northwest Indiana, from a town called Chesterton, Indiana, and I've been there my whole life. And I moved here in '03, and once I got here, I've not left yet. So
We're glad you're here.
I live not too far from Curtis, over around the Hermitage area.
Super. Well, great. You know what we haven't done yet?
There's a lot of them we had.
There's a lot we haven't done, but this is something we really haven't done, Curtis. When I was a kid, as I mentioned, I was around a lot of great old-time music. And I was always taught, Curtis, that in order to have a band, really all you needed was a fiddle and a banjo. That's all you needed.
Yeah.
In the old days, that's what they had. Guitars came in a little bit late. Bass fiddles came in late too, Tim. So let's give the folks a little opportunity to hear what the old-time sound was with fiddle and banjo. We're going to set Curtis and Aubrey loose on a little bit of the leather britches. And, if we get itching to play with you, would that be okay? Play along?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, we just might. Here's Curtis and Aubrey. I just couldn't sit still. It wasn't fair. I think they should pay us overtime on that one, Tim, don't you? Hey, let's do a little gospel tune. Ever since Curtis and I got together, we've been singing and playing on this one. This is one you don't hear all that often, and we kind of think that it came from Wade Maynard, who's a great old-time musician. We'll do some research on that someday, but we're going to do a little bit of Home in the Rock for you, Sunday fare for you. God gave Noah the rainbow sign, don't you see? God gave Noah the rainbow sign, don't you see? God gave Noah the rainbow sign, no more water but fire next time. Hide me, old rock of ages, cliff for me. I got a home in that rock, don't you see? I got a home in that rock, don't you see? I got a home in that rock just beyond the mountaintop. Hide me, old rock of ages, cliff for me. There's honey in that rock for me. There's honey in that rock for me. Oh, taste and see that the Lord is good. There's honey in that rock for me. I got a home in that rock, don't you see? I got a home in that rock, don't you see? I got a home in that rock just beyond the mountaintop. Hide me, old rock of ages, cliff for me. And old Lazarus, poor as I, don't you see? Oh, Lazarus, poor as I, don't you see? Oh, Lazarus, poor as I, but when he died, he had a home on high. Hide me, old rock of ages, cliff for me. I got a home in that rock, don't you see? I got a home in that rock, don't you see? I got a home in that rock just beyond the mountaintop. Hide me, old rock of ages, cliff for me. Come on now. I got a home in that rock, don't you see? I've got a home in that rock, don't you see? I got a home in that rock just beyond the mountaintop. Hide me, old rock of ages, cliff for me. All right. Well, how about some questions? We got any more questions out there? Come on. Up front here, where's that?
They may be
Oh, excellent. I got the sun shining in my face here.
I was wondering if you could talk a little bit about the instruments you play, why you picked those,
Oh.
special history.
Okay, here's the question. Can we talk about the instruments we're playing? Any special reason we're playing them or history behind them? Let's start with Tim this time. Tim, that's a big fiddle you got there.
I started out playing this because there was no other instrument for me to play in the band up here, so. No, I kind of started out playing guitar when I was younger, and then just kind of fell into the bass thing. And then once I started playing bass, it was more of a demand for me to play. And then actually in '99 I started with Special Consensus as a bass player, and then everything just from there it just kind of went. But I enjoy it. I really like the sound of it. For bluegrass, I prefer the upright and stuff. Certain styles of music, I prefer the upright, but I do play some electric, and I still like different genres of music, like the funk and the jazz and stuff like that. So, but that's pretty much, the bass for me. So.
Timmy, what kind of bass is that? What brand?
This is it's called a Roth. They call it a Chinese bass. From what I understand, I don't know a lot about it because there's not a lot of stuff out there on them. But the gentleman that used to make them back in the 30s ordered his wood from China, and it's kind of a replica of a German bass. So it's called a Roth. So
It sure does have some sound, don't you think? Ooh. Well, this guitar I have here, Curtis named my guitar for me. I've had it since about 1964, but Curtis calls this guitar Linda Lou. So this is Linda Lou, everybody. She's a 1949 D28 Martin, and I sold it in 1983. I came down with double pneumonia and had just bought a house and had my first child, and I had to cancel 6 months of work. So I sold Linda Lou, and about 5 years ago, Linda Lou found me again. So I now am getting reacquainted with Linda Lou, and she always was my favorite guitar for backing up a banjo and a fiddle. And I won my contests on this guitar when I was a kid, and won a few bucks on some of those contests too. That's the story. This is a wonderful kind of guitar for backing up a fiddle and a banjo. A Martin D28 is good for a gazillion things, but for backing up a fiddle and a banjo, you get a good Martin like this, and you don't need anything else. So that's Linda Lou for you.
Well, you can see that I've got an old banjo here in my lap. I'm a kind of a banjo collector. I've played banjo all my life, nearly, but I'm getting where it's pretty hard to do now. But I still enjoy it. This banjo here was built around 1939 or 40. There's a big demand for a certain kind of banjos, but you got to have pretty big bucks to own one. So they're just a banjo, but I love them, and I got too much money in a lot of them, but that's okay. And you can't have them if you don't buy them. And but anyway, I've enjoyed playing banjo, and I've never been what I wanted to be, but I reckon I've been about as good as I could get at some point. God been keeping me a little busier lately. I play a little every now and then. I can't walk and I can't see. So, take over, Aubrey. I've said enough. Thank you.
Well, my fiddle here is a American fiddle. It's modeled after a Guarneri Del Jesu. It's probably made in the early 1900s. I've had it it's been my main instrument for 16 years or so. Played it on lots of recordings, country and bluegrass, and like Curtis, I'm the fiddle collector. They tend to multiply. Not quite as heavy as a banjo, and you can fit more of them under the beds and stuff, you know.
Yeah.
Does that satisfy your question there? Probably more than you ever wanted to know. Great. What's that, Tim?
I said one thing that I didn't find out, I never knew about Curtis. We've known each other for 14, 15 years, but he actually started out on pedal steel and then transferred from pedal steel and went to banjo, and I never knew that.
That would have been lap steel, right, Curtis, back in those days?
What's that?
The steel, when you played steel guitar, that was a lap steel, wasn't it?
A lot of years ago.
But he heard Earl Scruggs, and he told me he took that that steel guitar, and I think it went under the bed and stayed there.
I sold it.
You sold it. There you go. That's commitment right there. Hey, we're going to take a little trip across the Blue Ridge Mountains right now. And, sometimes I find that folks are just sitting there itching. Oh, I'd love to sing along with those guys, wish I could. Well, the chorus on this song is really easy. My home's across the Blue Ridge Mountains. My home's across the Blue Ridge Mountains. My home's across the Blue Ridge Mountains, and I never expect to see you anymore. So you want to sing, you go right ahead. Well, I'm gonna leave here Monday morning. I'm gonna leave here Monday morning. I'm gonna leave here Monday morning, and I never expect to see you anymore. My home's across the Blue Ridge Mountains. My home's across the Blue Ridge Mountains. My home's across the Blue Ridge Mountains. And I never expect to see you anymore. Can I keep from crying? How can I keep from crying? How can I keep from crying? I never expect to see you anymore. My home's across the Blue Ridge Mountains. My home's across the Blue Ridge Mountains. My home's across the Blue Ridge Mountains. And I never expect to see you anymore. Oh, rock and feed my baby candy. Rock and feed my baby candy. Rock and feed my baby candy. Oh, I never expect to see you anymore. My home's across the Blue Ridge Mountains. My home's across the Blue Ridge Mountains. My home's across the Blue Ridge Mountains. And I never expect to see you anymore. Here's the band now. My home's across the Blue Ridge Mountains. My home's across the Blue Ridge Mountains. My home's across the Blue Ridge Mountains. And I never expect to see you anymore. Well, we thank you so much. Hey, any more questions out there? Let's take a look. Timmy, you help me too. If you say, oh, I gotta see, we got two. Well, let's do two. We'll do one over there and one over there. Let's do that person first. Oh my goodness. I guess we'll go across the stage on that one. Aubrey, it's your turn. Tell all.
That's a hard question. I'd say today's my favorite. Yeah.
What do you think, Kurt? Who of all the artists that you've played with, do you have a favorite? I know you've played with some of the greatest of the greats.
Yeah, but that was then. I don't know who all I have played for, actually. In all the years I've been scratching on this banjo, I played bluegrass for a while. I played studio sessions as much as I could. I played staff member to Grand Ole Opry for years. And I spent on the road and in the air and everywhere else with Danny Davis and the Nashville Brass for 18 years. I about bore myself out, to be honest with you. But I did enjoy it. I still enjoy playing. I get aggravated because I fumble notes. But 2 years ago, I couldn't hardly play anything. That's right. I had to have his shoulder redone twice. And the last time they did it, they put metal in there, and that metal don't know one note from another. I had to retrain that sucker before I could do anything. Anyway, I'm just glad to be here. I'm glad I'm still picking a little bit. And good to see all you folks out. Appreciate you coming out to see us. Thank you.
I think, for myself, I think Aubrey hit the nail right on the head. Right now, this is my favorite. In this moment, I guess everybody on the stage has had the opportunity to work with some of the greatest names in the industry. I can think of some folks, Curtis, that I've had the good fortune of working with and around who actually weren't even in the spotlight. You know, people like my friend Harry Warner, who passed away last year. Harry was one of the greatest men in Nashville that you'll never hear about, and you can try to find about him, but he was responsible for so much great music that happened when I was growing up, coming from this town. But this moment, we're so blessed, you know, to be here, to make music for you all, to have you all come and hear us. So I think I'll go with what Aubrey said, right here and now is my favorite. Tim?
Well, I mean, it's always an honor and a privilege. I mean, because it's like, you know, this is great, but you don't ever know what the future could lie. You know what I'm saying? You could be picking with people that you have no idea. But I can honestly say I've never really had a bad experience playing on stage. It's always been a treat, and it just keeps getting better and better all the time. So I'm thankful that I'm able to play with these great guys here on this stage and play with other people as well. As long as the good Lord gives me the ability to do it, I'm going to keep doing it. So,
Amen. Amen. Thank you, Tim. Well, we had another question over there, too.
Yeah, I understand bluegrass is a great tradition, but I also wonder if y'all have written any of your own music.
Well, I'll speak for myself. That's one of the things that I do. That's one of the things I'm compelled to do. I've been writing since I was 15, and I've had songs nominated for awards and on TV shows that have gone around the world. Every now and then, in fact, we can even do a song that my wife and I wrote that we put on the album, Curtis and I, about my wife's mama's daddy's mule. But yeah, we'll do that. And it's a mule song. We got to have mule songs, you know. But yeah, I certainly write. Curtis, I know there's some standards out there that people play that they don't realize that Curtis actually wrote too, like Southland for Me, the George Jones cut. Am I talking too much, Curtis?
No, I'm getting the rest of what you told me.
Yeah, and Curtis has written banjo tunes, some of the best banjo tunes I've ever heard. Curtis has written, so that's just true. Aubrey, how about you? I bet you've written some fiddle tunes that knock me over.
I have, probably close to 100 fiddle tunes, mandolin tunes, and I did 3 solo records for Sugar Hill Records. And the last one won the Instrumental Album of the Year for songs that I've written. So,
Yes, sir.
Tim?
Timmy, you got one? You want to talk about writing?
I do not write lyrics. I have wrote some instrumental stuff on guitar, but that's about all I've done. I can't put words together, so I let other people do that. So
We're having a little strategy meeting here. We got just about 4 more minutes to entertain you folks, and we want to figure out what we want to do. I mentioned the mule song, but we might run out of time if we do that. Do you want to retune and do the old Reuben's Train, Curtis?
We'll run out of time trying to tune.
You think so? Should we take it up to A and well, you know what we could do? Let's do a little bit of the Unclouded Day. What do you think, out of the key of G? And you all can sing with us, too. It's the Unclouded Day. Yeah, let's do that one instead. And then we'll visit with you just a little bit more when we're done with this one. Tell me of a home far beyond the sky. Oh, they tell me of a home far away. Oh, they unclouded day. Oh, they tell me of a home where my friends have gone. Oh, they tell me of a land far away, where the tree of life in eternal bloom sheds its fragrance through the unclouded day. Oh, the land of cloudless day. Oh, the land of an unclouded sky. Oh, they tell me of a home where no storm clouds arise. Oh, they tell me of an unclouded day. And they tell me that he smiles on his children there, that his smiles drive their sorrow away. And they tell me that no tears ever come again in that lovely land of unclouded day. Oh, the land of cloudless day. Oh, the land of an unclouded sky. Oh, they tell me of a home where no storm clouds arise. Oh, they tell me of an unclouded day. Well, we have had such a wonderful time visiting with you. Mr. Curtis McPeake, please make him welcome. Let him know you appreciate what he's done in a career that has just is a marvel. Mr. Curtis McPeake. Mr. Aubrey Haynie, one of the best of the best and a great guy to boot. The legendary Tim Dishman, a bass player's bass player and a great guy to boot. Yours truly, I'm sitting here with my face hanging out, singing and talking to you, Mr. Andy May. Thank you, Country Music Hall of Fame. God bless you all. Have a safe and wonderful day.